Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. We will get started in a few minutes. I'm just going to admit a few people who are still joining, so just bear with me and we'll get started at 11:05. Thanks, guys. I'll be right back. All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. We are going to be talking about customer service today. My name is Jane Stevens, and I am the training manager here at Zolo. This is a webinar that we do every month because it is so important to be providing good customer service, not just in, other industries like restaurants or, hair salons, but definitely also real estate. The nature of things now is really, people don't, look up businesses anymore in the yellow pages and go with the very first listing. I'm dating myself, but I remember my mom recommending, name your business 1, 2, 3, because you'll be at the top of the list. Things have changed drastically, very different. So definitely wanting now to keep in mind that you should have an online presence. You should have a system in place where people can review whether it's, on a Google business page or a Facebook review page. This is how people, really find professionals these days, right? So if they do come across your profile on Zolo, they're going to probably do a little bit of internet digging to find out who you are. And if you don't have reviews, now's the time. Reach out to your past clients, ask them if they wouldn't mind posting a review, because that is, as I said, really how people make decisions these days as to who they're going to work with. All right, so I'm just going to admit a few people here as they join, but let's jump into it. So yeah, I've already talked about these reviews, how important it is to really ask all of your past clients, if you haven't already done this, asking them for reviews. Have this as part of your process. I'm sure you all have a process in terms of calling people back within the first 5 minutes. You get that lead in your CRM, you're calling them back, you're updating your activities, you're converting them to showings. Maybe you have a process in place, where you're scheduling those showings in a geographical order, you're sending out itineraries, follow-up emails, buyer presentations, whatever it is that you have in place. Make sure that, after you've done all the work, you've achieved an accepted offer for your clients, that you also have a process in place to congratulate them and ask them for a review at that point. Really, clients are the happiest when you've gotten them an accepted offer. So take advantage of that moment and ask them at that point to post a review. Again, if you wait until closing or you wait until they've moved in, things get busy, things get hectic, and it's after the fact. So if you don't have a process in place already, then I highly recommend asking for reviews once you have an accepted offer for your lead, for your client. Don't forget to ask them to also review the brokerage. So, at Zolo, we do have a Google business profile. So do encourage them to post a review if you've done a great job for them, to also mention the brokerage. This could be simply part of your email signature, the links to reviewing the Zolo brokerage, and then maybe another link to reviewing you on Google, if you also have a Google business page. And then, of course, as I said, hopefully you do have something else in place where you can keep your additional reviews, such as a Facebook business page. This is a great way. This is free. I always like to recommend things that are free. So sign up for a Facebook business page. Again, you can see right there on the sidebar, this is Valerie. She's a Zolo agent here. You can see on the sidebar that there is an option there where people can view your previous reviews and then also, of course, post any new reviews. Over here on the left-hand side, you can see that she's received 5 stars and she's had 5 reviews. So again, this is free. This is definitely somewhere that you can go, to ask people to post reviews. Of course, if you have a website, a lot of people have a testimonials page. I find that people who have testimonials on their business page, on their website, they will have it sort of spread out throughout their website. So instead of having maybe a dedicated testimonial page, maybe there is just quotes from different clients on all of the different pages, so that if they're looking at the About You page, for example, they'll also be able to see a glowing reference, right? A really great testimonial from a previous client. So of course, a website does cost money. So if you're not there yet, at least have a Facebook business page where, again, you can be asking for reviews so that your past clients can rave about you. This will help you really give confidence to new clients who are just starting to work with you. They maybe don't know you, they haven't been referred to you, they're just coming to you through the Zolo website. So this is a way that you can get some credibility, and they'll know a little bit more about who you are and why they should work with you. So really, it's all about reviews. Also making sure that when you enter in the showings in your CRM, that you do that after you've taken clients out on a showing. And the reason for that is because the Zolo bot also asks for a review. So as soon as you enter a showing and you click on Submit Update, that client will receive a text message saying, how do you rate your Zolo agent? So again, do that after the showing so that they're not getting that text message prematurely. They're not annoyed by it and giving you a 1 star when you deserve a 5. And if you do receive a testimonial from a client in this way, your growth manager will reach out to you and let you know, hey, you got a 5-star review. Great job. This is what they said about you. And they will copy and paste that testimonial for you, likely email you with that review, that feedback. And if you do want to post it again elsewhere, then you can do that, or you can reach out to that client and ask them to again post on your Google business page or your Facebook business page, whatever it is that you have in place. So again, the Zolo bot is collecting reviews on your behalf every single time you do a showing. So just keep that in mind, just know that that's there. All right, so let's talk about having a system in place so that you can provide this customer service. Really, customer service at the end of the day is you want to be kind of treating your clients as if they're your one and only, right? They should feel that they are your top priority. And how are you going to do that when really you're receiving leads every single day? You're receiving hundreds of leads in your CRM. How are you going to keep everybody top of mind? How are you going to reach out to, people when necessary? And really, it's all about having a system in place. So I always talk about, definitely using the Zolo CRM. There is an ability there to enter notes and then to schedule a follow-up. So if, for example, they inquired about a property and the property is sold conditional, maybe schedule a follow-up for when that condition is scheduled to expire. So again, if it's sold conditionally on an inspection, it will tell you at the bottom of the MLS information sheet when that buyer needs to fulfill the condition. So again, scheduling a follow-up for that date, calling that client back. So maybe you haven't even met this particular person, but they had, interest in this property. You told them it was sold conditional. They said, okay, don't worry, we don't want to go see it then if it's already potentially sold. But then you follow up and you let them know, I just wanted to let you know that this did firm up. It sold for X amount of dollars. Or maybe you say, you know what, it looks like it fell through. It was conditional on financing and inspection. Do you want to go and take a look? That right there is providing excellent customer service. It's making them feel like they are your top priority. They're top of mind for you. So definitely schedule those follow-ups to assist you. It's going to be impossible to remember all of these things off the top of your head. So use the Zolo CRM to follow up, to schedule those follow-ups. And then you'll see them right there on your dashboard. So any scheduled activities that you have, that you've set, you'll see all of your scheduled activities for that particular day. So if you have a couple coming up today, you'll only see those two. You won't see everything that you've scheduled into the future. So really stay on top of those scheduled activities. If you forget to check your CRM one day, which hopefully you're not doing, then you'll likely not see those scheduled activities, right? So you don't want to forget about it. Be checking your CRM every single day for new leads, and also your scheduled activities and following up with whoever it is that you schedule to follow up with. So use the CRM, use the Zolo CRM. All right. So another thing that I like to suggest is having an Excel spreadsheet. And so another example of, using an Excel spreadsheet to your advantage is, you can keep track of everybody that you've spoken to. So let's say, for example, you spoke to a client several months ago and they were looking at properties in Milton for 1.1. Now let's say you're on the workplace group and you see under the listings channel, somebody is posting a property in Milton. It's priced for $9.99. It's coming soon, so it hasn't even hit the MLS market. This is another opportunity to provide excellent customer service. You can reach out to that client and let them know, you're aware of a coming soon listing. Do they want to go and take a look at it? Looks like it's going to be within their price range. You can send them some pictures. And then again, they think that, they are top of mind, that they are a priority for you, and you're informing them of things that you think they might be interested in. This is going to create loyalty, of course. This is how you gain their trust, their business. So definitely reach out to them with that information. So if you were just relying on the Zolo CRM, it might be a little bit harder to find, okay, who was it that I was speaking to that was within that price point? So again, this is where that Excel spreadsheet comes in handy. So this is just an example of one that I created. I'm happy to share this with you. Very easy to create. Just, different columns here with the date maybe that they inquired, the type of lead that they are. So you can see here I've separated renters from buyers. If they are renters, maybe what their possession date is, but if they're buyers, you might want to put in their timeline. Of course, you want to keep track of their name, their phone number, their email address. Another nice thing to keep track of is the Zolo URL. So every single time you go to a client's profile within the Zolo CRM, you'll notice that the URL is unique for that particular client's profile. So you might want to copy and paste that into your Excel spreadsheet as well, so that you can, update your activity. If you do reach out to them, again, with a coming soon listing, whatever the example is there, you can quickly click on that link, find it very easily in your CRM, and update your activity. So definitely keeping track of the price point so that, again, you remember what price point they were looking in, what area they were looking in, maybe how many bedrooms. You can add these extra columns, which honestly, when I created this, I don't really use this too much. That's sort of something that I update in the Zolo CRM. But what stage you're at. Are you at the showing stage? Have you met them before? Have you written an offer for them? And then maybe, have you gotten an offer accepted on their behalf? So, you can add in as many details as you'd like or as little, but definitely keep track of, who they are, how you can contact them, and what it is that they're looking for. Notes, of course, is always helpful, but if you have that client URL, hopefully you're updating the Zolo CRM with all of your notes. So a quick click on that unique URL will take you to their client profile, and then you can read any notes that way. In an Excel spreadsheet, there's not a lot of room for notes. I mean, there is, but it's just not going to be as easy to read. So maybe updating all of your notes in the Zolo CRM and just having that unique URL. So this is an Excel spreadsheet, really simple and free. I always like to recommend things that are free. Of course, if you want something a little bit more sophisticated, I did Google some of the top real estate CRMs, and this is the list that came up. Top Producer is probably one that I have heard of the most. It is probably one of the pricier ones. It is highly customizable. So if you are really into that, if you're really tech savvy, then you might want to take a look at Top Producer. So what that one does is it is trying to think for you, right? So in addition to those scheduled activities that you've set for yourself, this is very robust. It can send, auto emails, drip campaigns. It can remind you of anniversaries. So when they moved in last year, maybe I think it even sends out, those automated emails on their anniversary, on their birthdays. So it looks like it's coming from you, but it's not something that you're manually doing. So again, this is a way to make that customer feel like you're keeping them top of mind, you're remembering them, even though it is automated. So again, Top Producer is one of them. I'm just going to highlight a few. You guys can, explore these different CRMs if you'd like. The cost of this one per month, I believe, is around 60 something, 65, and it may even be in US dollars. So, that one is, as I said, on the pricier end of things. Of course, there are CRMs that are much more expensive, but these are sort of the basics. The ones that would be more expensive are the ones that also do, lead generation for you. But here at Zolo, we're doing that for you. So if you do want to invest in a CRM, this is probably at the top of the price point that I'm going to recommend anyway. But of course, there are some other ones, and this is the one that I sort of recommend as kind of being the most bang for your buck. So the Exact Contact CRM is about 30 something a month. And this one is great because you can really put in all of the contacts. So everybody that it is that you're speaking to, think of Zolo as building your book of business, right? They're sending you leads. The Zolo bot is sending you leads every day. So take those leads that you've had conversations with, you feel, might not do business with you right now, or maybe they're ready later, maybe they will do business now, but enter them into some sort of a database. So you can keep track of them, of course, but also with this particular one, Exact Contact, they do create monthly newsletters. So really simple for you to just blast out a monthly newsletter to everybody in your database. So people who you may have spoken to a year ago, you're still hopefully top of mind for them so that when they are ready, they do reach out to you. So I know email newsletters can be time consuming, if you're starting to think about, okay, how do I want to brand myself? How do I want to send this? So again, Exact Contact creates a template for you. There's already content in there. So really all you have to do is just upload your picture, pick a background image, and off it goes to your entire database. So again, that's why this one is probably, as I said, the most bang for your buck because it does a couple of things for you. And in addition, I think it also provides you a really simple website. So if you do want to have a presence online that, isn't going to be an additional cost, it does come as part of the Exact Contact platform, I guess. So Exact Contact is one that I recommend just because there are a few different things that it does in addition to keeping track of your database, right? And you can even see here, I don't know if you can see this image very well, but it keeps track of your active business, your active buyers, who you have a BRA with. So it really organizes your business. And again, it enables you to provide excellent customer service. The more organized you are, the better able you can service your clients. So take a look at Exact Contact. There are a couple of other ones. Realty Juggler is one that I use. If you can get past the interface, I find it very cartoony, but it works. So this one is, there is a section there where you can keep track of your prospects, but I use this one more for transaction management. So that one is very affordable. I believe it's $99 a year. So take a look at that one. But again, Exact Contact, honestly does a few more things for you. And I think that's probably the one that most realtors use if you, reach out and start asking questions. But last but not least, I did come across this one, Real Office 360. And this one is very user friendly as well. And it is free initially. So I think it's free up until you receive or until you enter a certain amount of prospects. And then they start charging you. So if you want something that you can just kind of play around with, this might be a good place to start. So again, it really keeps track of your business in addition to your prospects, just so that you're organized, you know what your goals are, you know who to reach out to next, because really, that's going to enable you to provide that customer service that we're talking about here. All right. So let's also talk about a daily schedule, because I find that oftentimes, we can be realtors on demand, right? Especially when we get that lead, it's a hot lead, we've received it in our CRM, we call them back, they want to see a property right away, and you drop everything and you run out the door to show them this property. It's best to have a schedule in place so that you're doing all of your follow-ups, for example, when you've scheduled to do your follow-ups. If you're just running out the door on demand, then you may miss your follow-ups, and then you kind of snowball after that, right? So really staying in control of your day with a schedule. So this is one, you can Google daily schedule for realtors, and there's a bunch that come up. Pick something that works for you. So maybe in the morning, maybe you're updating your paperwork, stuff that you can do, admin stuff that isn't, reaching out to people, because, nobody wants to be called at 8 a.m. So maybe you're doing, like I said, your admin, maybe you're role playing, maybe you're going over scripts, whatever it is that you like to do. And then business servicing, right? Responding to emails, texting, obviously checking your Zolo CRM, seeing what new leads have come in so you can reach out to them. And then incorporating into that your follow-up. So who is it that you need to follow up with? Again, relying on that CRM, whatever it is that you're using, even going back to that Excel spreadsheet, maybe you have a column in there for next follow-up date, and you can sort all of your leads by who you need to follow up with next. So it doesn't have to cost you anything, just as long as you have a system in place so that you can stay organized and on top of your leads. So following up with them, having a schedule in your day where you are following up, not only with the new leads that are coming into your Zolo CRM, but with all of those leads that you were previously speaking to. So really having something like that in place, and then having a time slot during your day where you do go out on showing. So again, instead of just being that realtor on demand, missing your follow-up time slot altogether, and then just running out the door to show properties, maybe suggesting to those leads that call and say, I really want to see this property right now. Maybe you suggest to them, does 3 o'clock work for you, or does 4 o'clock work for you? And have that schedule so that hopefully you're doing showings between 3 and 6. That's what they have here, but you can pick whatever you'd like. So, afternoon, early evening, so that you still have time to come home and have dinner with your family, right? So there's lots of different things that you can incorporate into your daily schedule, but I think that that's definitely the most important. You need to have some admin time. You need to have some, conversion time, talking to those new leads, talking to those, older leads that need to be followed up with, and then having a time set in your day to schedule showings. So taking some of this so that you can also schedule what's important, right? Personal, family time, time to go to the gym, whatever it is. So just an example here of a daily schedule. All right, so let's talk about calls. So typically when you receive that phone call, really make sure that you're answering your phone professionally. That's something that we talk about a lot. The growth managers, are able to listen to those recorded calls on the back end. So again, if you don't recognize that number coming in, you're not going to have that lead in your phone. So any number that you don't recognize, answer, and answer professionally. So make sure you're answering, as, hi, this is Jane with Zolo Realty. How can I help you? And I love to start off that conversation with a how can I help you question, because really you want to have a conversation. It's not much of a script, but you want to have a conversation where you're listening to the lead, and then eventually you're turning the table around so that you can explain the process to them. So whatever it is that they're looking for, you want to have an opportunity during that call to explain that to them so that they feel comfortable that they're working with somebody who knows, and can assist them through the process. So whether they're a lease lead or a buyer, asking them if they're familiar with the process and then explaining it to them. So with the example of lease leads, you definitely want to make sure that they know the process. Let them know that the lease market is really competitive. So if they're looking at properties that are $2,500, if that's their budget, they should look at properties that are listed for $2,500 or less, not $2,600, $2,700, because again, you want to educate that lead. You want to tell that client that there's not a lot of room for negotiation in leases. It's very competitive. Oftentimes there are multiple applicants. So we really want to go in at full price, maybe even sometimes $50 or $100 more. So right away they know that and they're expecting that. Also letting them know what the landlords are looking for. So the landlords typically want to see a credit score of 650. I actually just saw today an MLS listing for a property for lease, and it was in the brokerage remarks that the credit score needed to be 700 and that the credit report needed to show payment history. So again, something to inform your clients about, let them know what it is that landlords are looking for and making sure that that's what they have. So don't be afraid to ask the question. Landlords want to see a credit score of 700. Do you know what your credit score is? Do you have your credit report available, right? And if they say, yeah, no problem, our credit score is 750, we've got our Equifax downloaded already, great. So you've jumped that hurdle. Now the next question is going to be, again, letting them know that the landlords want to see that they can afford the rent. The landlords are going to want to see that the rent is less than 30% of their income. So again, asking them that question, is your income enough to support this rent? So is this rent less than 30% of your income? However you want to word that, ask them that question and get that information out of them, because this is also going to determine whether or not you can help them. So if they say to you, yeah, we do, both of us, make, $75,000 each, then, great. Then, you can work with them. It's going to, their chances of getting an accepted offer are high. Alternatively, if they say to you, well, our credit score is in the 500s, our, employment was interrupted, then, in that case, again, you still want to provide them with good customer service. You may not be able to help them, but you might point them in the direction of maybe the listing agent. Maybe you provide them with the listing agent's information, or maybe you let them know, if your credit score is a little bit low or, lower than 650, your best bet might be to go to Kijiji or to Facebook Marketplace, where landlords post their listings directly, and then you can reach out to the landlord, have a conversation, and it's more on rapport, whereas anything that's listed on the MLS listing service is, going to be, there's going to be a little bit more requirements. So again, you're providing them with good customer service, even though you're not able to help them. So definitely point them in the right direction so that they walk away feeling like they've been helped, even if you weren't able to take them out on those showings and get their offer accepted. All right. So speaking about calls, have a sort of going back to the schedule, I guess, this daily schedule, having a standard for yourself. So how many calls are you going to make every day, or how much time are you going to set aside for these phone calls? What I really like to do is kind of have a goal. And what I suggest is to have a goal in mind that I'm not going to stop calling these leads back, and I'm not going to stop following up with my old leads until I've scheduled an appointment. So every day you're booking an appointment. That way, again, you're going to stay busy. And again, you're not letting anybody fall through the cracks. So you're really digging for appointments. So set a standard for yourself where you're reaching out to, again, not just your new leads, but to anybody who has previously requested information. All right. Okay, let me see. I have a question coming in. So my challenge is with clients who insist on showings before providing pre-approval or even getting it up front. Pressure to book showings without even providing real name, such as Peter. I feel it's not even safe to do it with an unidentified stranger. Yeah, absolutely. So you know what? Great question. Let me just manage this over here. Sorry, somebody had their video on. So yeah, great comment. So a couple of things. So they may not necessarily send you all of their paperwork. What I'm talking about is having a conversation with them over the phone and getting that information from them. So just verbally. If they are defensive, if there's pressure to book a showing, and there's pressure to book a showing, they're not really giving you information, chances are they're not qualified. I had a situation once where there was a client who called and was putting a lot of pressure to book a showing. There was a great story that made sense about how he had just sold his house. He was supposed to be moving out of town. That job offer fell through. His daughter was in the local high school, and he needed to see this place immediately and rent it immediately. Both the listing agent and I moved heaven and earth to make it all happen. And when he moved in, turned out he stopped paying the rent. And it took them 6 months, I believe, to evict him. So you know what, I kind of learned my lesson at that point, that if there is resistance to provide information, or if there's pressure to book a showing, chances are something's up, right? So take the time and ask the right questions. If they don't provide you with the information, as I said, the documents before taking them out on a showing, I find that that's okay. They haven't met you yet. They haven't even found a property that they like. So, you know, if they're not providing you with personal documentation, at least, you know, you're asking the right questions and you get a gut feeling as to whether or not, okay, this is somebody that I can work with. So if you're feeling, you know, unsafe about anything with an unidentified stranger, don't do it. That's just my, that was, you know, a story from my personal experience. But just to address the real name aspect here, where it says Peter. So that's about how they register on the Zolo site. So when they go to Zolo and they're looking up rental properties, or any property for that matter, and they're asked to register to the site, if they only enter their first name, then their first name, I believe, is just auto-populated as their last name. So if, in other words, so if they enter their first name as Peter and they leave their last name blank, their profile will be created as Peter. So, you know, reach out to them, ask them questions, find out about, again, their credit score, their employment. And, you know, if you feel like they are qualified, then you can go ahead and do the showing. But yeah, eventually you're going to want to see photo ID and the rest of it. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question there. But if there's pressure to book, definitely the takeaway for me was, you know, don't subscribe to that. If there's pressure to book, if they're resistant to provide information, they're probably not qualified. All right. Yeah, that's so true. We can't help everybody. Tips for new agents. Yeah, I'm happy to share some tips. Let me know what specifically you're looking for, but we're going to jump into some calls here, or, you know, how to set these calls up. But first of all, let's talk about attitude when you're calling people back. You know, there are a few tips here. So always greeting your customers with a warm opening. So again, answering your phone professionally, treating your customers with respect. So you want to be listening to them. I find sometimes, and listening back to, you know, some of the calls that agents make, you know, people are telling you what they're looking for, and, you know, you're sort of interrupting the conversation as they go. Just listen to them, sit back, you know, take notes. And then that way, once they have given you all of their search criteria, you're able to, you know, have that conversation with them. Speak to them about, you know, reiterate their search criteria, emotionally connect with them. So, okay, I understand, you know, you want to be in the school catchment. I know that school is, you know, fantastic. Definitely, I can help you in that area. So interact with them, make them feel comfortable. And of course, tailor and customize your service to your client. So if they're looking for a rental property in 30 days, then of course, you're going to send them listings. You're going to follow up with an email. You know, you're going to schedule showings for that particular weekend, maybe. But if they're not looking for another year or so, then you're not going to be contacting them every day in the same way, right? You'd be, again, maybe putting them into a database where you're sending them monthly newsletters and you're scheduling a follow-up to reach out to them sort of on a monthly basis, so that, again, you're top of mind, but you're not bombarding them with follow-ups when they're not looking for another year. So really understanding your customers' needs, their timeline, their motivation, and then discovering the impact that you have on your customers. So really going above and beyond. As I said, I gave the example earlier of, you know, you want to be speaking to the clients, you want to be finding out what it is that they're looking for, and then hopefully scheduling, you know, several properties to show them, send them an itinerary in geographical order. We're going to look at this property first, second, third, fourth. You know, don't schedule more than that. And even let them know. Sometimes lease leads in particular will send you a list of, you know, these are the 10 properties we want to see. Just let them know after 4 properties, they're all going to look the same. You won't remember what kitchen goes with what backyard. So just let them know that, have a conversation with them, and get your customers excited about what it is that you're going to offer. And, you know, make assurances, let them know, I'm going to help you find this. Let's start on Saturday, and, you know, we'll schedule some more showings as needed, but hopefully we find, you know, hopefully you shortlist your top 3, your top 4 properties, and hopefully we find what you're looking for right away. So yeah, get them excited. All right, some more questions coming in. Awesome. Sometimes I tell them that, sure, I can show you, but you'll be in for a rude awakening when the landlord rejects you. Of course, I say it a bit nicer. yeah, definitely say it a bit nicer. So you know what, just make the landlord the bad guy, right? Like, it's not you who's asking for, their credit score to be perfect and their whole like payment history. Some people are private. Some people don't even want to share that, but just let them know, empathize with them, even say, I completely understand. I know it's uncomfortable to share all this information, but this really is what landlords, are expecting to see. And maybe even try to put them in the landlord's shoes, right? If this was your property, I'm sure you would want to vet, your potential tenant as well. So definitely have that conversation with them about what the landlords expect. Okay, let me see. Sometimes it's always my fault that they don't get accepted. Yeah, part-time realtor, part-time punching bag. Oh man, yes, I know. So this is why really at the very beginning, you need to set those expectations. So it starts with that initial phone call. It's about what the landlords want. And, you want to make sure that they actually do have those things that will hopefully get them accepted. Like, there's a high chance of probability that they will get accepted. So, you want to be working with those people who stand a chance, because otherwise you're right. You're just going to be submitting offer after offer that gets rejected, and it's going to be your fault. So make sure that they're qualified so that you are submitting offers, and hopefully one of them eventually gets accepted. So yeah, if you're a new agent with no reviews or testimonials, maybe you have some friends or family members that can attest to your work ethic, right? So maybe be a little bit creative, think outside the box. And yeah, here at Zolo, if you're a brand new agent working with lease leads, you will build that book of business quite quickly. You will have clients that will be able to give you those reviews or testimonials. So yeah, start out with some friends and family, maybe past coworkers or whatever it is, so that they can at least give you a review or a testimonial based on who you are personally. So hopefully that's an idea for you there. All right, so tips. So we have a few tips here. I think I've kind of like talked about some of these, but definitely answer your phone. We had a Q&A last month, I believe, with the growth managers, and Jane Pearson, who's one of the growth managers here, said something which really struck me, and it's so true. The agents who are making the money are the ones answering their phone. They can see it in the back end, who's answering and who's not. And, the agents who call in saying, oh, I don't know why things aren't happening, they'll look on the back end and see, well, it's, you're not answering your phone all of the time. Answer 100% of the calls that come into your phone, always. If you miss a call it back. That's just the nature of the business we're in. Absolutely 100% of the time, answer your phone. And that simple action will result in deals. So definitely make sure that you're answering your phone all of the time. You're answering it professionally so that when you do speak to that lead, they know they've reached somebody who can help them, right? If you're answering with a hello, that's kind of a question, that's not going to instill a lot of confidence in that lead who's calling you. Sorry. I love my dog. Sorry, guys. All right. Okay, my dog just wanted to say hello. Also listening, so being an active listener. So again, how can I help you starts that conversation really nicely. Ask your lead what it is that they're looking for, or how you can help. And that will oftentimes, a lot of people will really disclose their whole life story, right? Our current house is being sold. We have 6 months to find something. If we find something right away, we can move on it. We really like this area. My daughter attends this school. They're going to tell you all of this information. So take notes, add that into your Zolo CRM so that you remember later on when you have a conversation with them in a week, you remember the school catchment. You can talk to them about, oh yeah, so how's your daughter doing? You have those takeaways that you can follow up with. And even during that initial conversation, listen, reiterate, and then of course, as I said before, turn the conversation around so that you can then explain the process, but really listen to them first before, taking over the conversation. Give them their space to tell you what it is that they're looking for. All right. Okay, awesome. Sorry, I'm just getting a comment about somebody being kicked out. Hopefully everything is good and we can carry on. All right, so I did talk about this earlier as well, tailoring your efforts. So if you have somebody who's really ready to go, they're looking for something, before the new year, then you know that you have to sort of meet with them a few times, kind of immediately in order to get them into that place that they're looking for. But if they're not looking for a property for another year or so, maybe they haven't been pre-approved, maybe they're still saving their down payment. Don't forget about them. So this again is all about customer service. Just because a deal isn't going to happen tomorrow doesn't mean that you should dismiss them. Really, customer service is about remembering all of those people, regardless of what stage they're at, and tailoring your efforts, providing service, providing value, providing information between now and whenever it is that they're ready. It's lovely to get a lead who's ready tomorrow, but that doesn't happen all of the time. In fact, most of the time, it's going to take a little bit of time. So tailor your efforts and make sure that you're not forgetting about anybody. And again, that goes back to that CRM, having a system in place where you can follow up systematically, right? So you're not going to forget about them. You have a system in place that nothing is going to fall through the cracks. They feel important. They feel like they're going to use you because you remember them every month or whatever it is. So tailor your efforts. Another tip here, be reliable and responsive. So this goes to answering your phone. So not just that initial phone call, but if you have a client who's, sometimes this happens where we have a client who just calls, over and over and over with questions, always answer your phone. Be responsive, provide the information that they're, asking, even if it maybe feels like you've already answered this question, just always be available. They know that they can reach out to you. They know that they can ask you questions. So you want to be reliable and responsive. It goes back to answering your calls, your emails. So however it is that they're reaching out to you, text message, whatever it is, you are responsive. So make sure that, it's not just that first call that you're answering the first 5 minutes, but you're responding to each and every request in a timely manner. All right. Be a resource. So you guys are here, which is awesome. Continuing your education. We had some great TREB webinars this month. So, hopefully you took something away from those. Hopefully you take something away from all of these webinars and you're able to pass that on. So really continue your education. Make sure that you're familiar with the paperwork. That's something that, I think is so important. Not only do you need to know that for yourself, you want to be able to explain that agreement of purchase and sale, to an elementary school child. If you can do that, then you know your stuff, right? So be a resource, download all of those forms. On the OREA website, all of those forms come in an explained format. So they're called explained forms. So the agreement of purchase and sale you can download, and there's writing in red that explains each and every clause. Take some time to read that so that if you are in the middle of, preparing an offer and they have a question to you about paragraph 13, you know what they're talking about. So really make sure that you know your stuff so that you can answer their questions. So download those forms. Another thing to do that I've suggested before with, buyer presentations or pre-listing packages, buyer packages, is to submit those forms to them. So maybe after that phone call, you've had a conversation, you know that they're either a lease lead or, maybe they are looking to buy. So you're going to provide them with information on the process. So have some sort of maybe a PDF that you have prepared as to the roadmap that they can expect as a renter or the roadmap that they can expect as a buyer, and then attach all of those forms so that when it does come time to write the offer, they're not overwhelmed by seeing these forms for the very first time. You've previously sent it to them. They've been able to read them. They've been able to ask you any questions about them. And you've also read them, so you know how to answer those questions. So definitely this is so important. And I think that this is the piece that sometimes, realtors kind of gloss over because they just want to get to the deal, but really understand the process and really understand those forms so you can educate your clients as well. The other tip here is to be a resource in terms of sharing industry experts. So if you do have somebody who, for example, is looking to list their property, hopefully you have a list of vendors that you use that you can share with them. So maybe you have a reliable handyman, maybe you have a painter who's affordable, maybe you're going to, suggest these people and they're going to provide a 10% discount because they're working with you. So, have a list that you can share. Again, that's providing excellent customer service. Not only are they hiring you, but there's a whole team of people that is able to help because they're working with you. So definitely be a resource in terms of knowing the material and having a network that they can tap into to really get, their property looking as best as possible if they're selling. All right, so taking the extra steps. So, lots of things here that we can talk about, but yeah, just going above and beyond, setting the bar high for yourself and letting clients know that, you are going to be available to pick up, even if it is late. If you're working on an offer, you're going to, if you're going to be there to answer all of the questions. If it's a multiple offer situation, you know, you're explaining how that's going to work. You're going to let them know, you know, even it's just as simple as letting them know when to expect a call back from you, right? Because I think sometimes clients will sign that offer, they've sent it to you, and then they're on pins and needles. So instead of leaving them on pins and needles, just let them know, you know, they've signed the offer at 3 p.m. Great, you have it in your possession. Let them know they're not going to be presenting these offers until 7. So relax. I'll let you know at around 8 o'clock if I've heard anything back. Right there, you've taken some extra steps. You've set some expectations. Now they're at ease, and you know, you're going to facilitate the process as best as possible. So take whatever extra steps necessary to really make your clients feel comfortable. Staying in touch, yeah, again, using that multiple offer situation, definitely staying in touch. You know, if you are in that situation where, you know, offers needed to be presented at 5, so they signed it at 3. You sent it at 5, they're not presenting till 7, you know, definitely stay in touch with your clients throughout the entire process. If you told them you were going to get back to them at 8 p.m., then just again, you know, circle back to them and say, I still haven't heard back. I've left a message for the listing agent. They're probably still presenting the offers. This is how many offers they had. So let them know, right? Prepare them along the way. Also, you know, are you prepared to improve your offer if they come back asking us to? If so, for how much? You know, can we tighten up the closing date? Whatever it is, just stay in touch. You know, I'm talking about the multiple offer situation, but of course there's, you know, other ways to stay in touch, you know, just generally speaking, right? So again, with those follow-ups that I mentioned before, making sure they don't fall through the cracks, staying in touch on a weekly, monthly basis, you know, just making sure, you know, even quarterly if they're really not ready anytime soon. But everybody should really be in a database where you could be sending monthly newsletters to. So staying in touch, not just, you know, during an offer presentation process, but, you know, also, you know, just moving forward, staying in touch regardless of what stage they're at. And then thank them. Of course, thank them for their business. This is what I was saying also earlier. When you do have an offer accepted, then that's always very exciting. Thank them and ask them for a review as well. I think the next one is asking for feedback and referrals. So yeah, these kind of all go hand in hand. So definitely thank them for their business. So know that they're valued, and ask for a review. Again, if you just got their offer accepted and there were 13 other offers, that's something to celebrate. That's something you definitely want on your website. So ask them for feedback, ask them for that, that review, and eventually, you know, hopefully that will result in referrals. Don't be afraid to ask for referrals either. I think that a lot of realtors who are successful in getting referrals ask for that business. You know, whereas I think a lot of other realtors just kind of hope for it because they did a good job and they should get a referral, but don't be afraid to ask for that referral as well. All right. Okay, how are we doing? Let me know if you guys have any other situations that have come up. We do have some scripts here. So it's not, again, it's not really scripts that I share, but just maybe a couple of questions that we get a lot that you, you know, you may not be sure how to handle. So we have I think we have time for a few of these. So let's just jump in, because one of these is, are you the listing agent? So this is a very common question. So again, we're talking about customer service here, right? So a lot of buyers have this assumption that working with the listing agent is better. So in talking about customer service, you might want to explain why it's in their benefit to work with a buyer specialist, right? And I know that there's, you know, the argument, or not the argument, but there's the conversation that you can have about the listing agent representing the interests of the sellers, and you're going to represent the buyer's interest, but maybe talk a little bit about, you know, the fact that you can schedule all of the showings on their behalf. So instead of them having to call every listing agent and book appointments with every single different property, you're going to take that work off of their plate. You are going to schedule all of the showings, you know, from 1 to 3 on a Saturday afternoon in chronological or in geographical order. You know, and you're taking the work off of their plate. So that's something that you might want to say. And, you know, you're going to send them listings that match their search criteria. All they need to do is just reach out to you, and you're going to do all of the scheduling. So, yeah, the blurb here is, I'm a buyer specialist. I can show you any property that interests you, regardless of who the listing agent is. I can send you listings that match your search criteria and schedule several showings at once. What is it that you're looking for? So, you know, kind of taking that objection, if you want to call it an objection, and, you know, talking about what the benefit is of using a buyer specialist, and then asking them what they're looking for. So you're moving on in the conversation, and then hopefully they let you know what they're looking for, you schedule showings, and you're off to the races. So this is something we get a lot. I think people go on the Zolo site and they see your face every single time they click on different properties because they've been assigned to you. You're an agent in their area, but they often think that you're the listing agent for all these properties. So just let them know, I'm a buyer specialist. I can show you anything you find, not just on the Zolo site, but online. I can show you those as well. Anything that's listed on MLS, I can schedule those showings for you, schedule an itinerary, and we can go take a look at properties whenever it's available for you. All right. One of the other questions is, I have an agent already. So this may or may not be true. So just keep that in mind. If they have an agent already, obviously, then they should be booking showings with their agent, and just explain that to them. But I think a good question to start with is, are you committed to working with an agent in writing? Because they may, just be saying they have an agent in mind, but they're not really sure, or maybe, they're just not wanting to talk to an agent for whatever reason. So, just asking them, are you committed to working with an agent in writing? And if not, then go ahead and answer their questions and schedule showings if you're able to convert them to working with you. So just addressing that question with, are you committed to working with an agent? Finding out really what their commitment level is to that existing agent. If they say that they just started looking, so again, no problem. I mean, we don't want to put pressure on them. If they just started looking, no problem. I'm here to answer your questions. Be a resource. So again, going back to those tips, be a resource. If they have questions, hopefully they're reaching out to you. And if they are reaching out to you, that means that you've done something right along the way. They're trusting you. They feel that you are knowledgeable about this. So they're going to reach out to you, and that will likely lead to a client relationship. So if they just started looking, no problem. I can certainly help you. So there's an acronym here. So LP MAMA is the information that you want to kind of get out of a buyer. So let me see if I remember this now off the top of my head, but it's location, right? So you want to find out where they're looking. You definitely want to find out what their price point is. You want to make sure that they are, maybe have they spoken to a mortgage broker before? Are they working with an agent? And what's the other end? Their motivation and timeline, and then leading to the appointment. So those are some of the questions you want to be asking a buyer. So we talked earlier about what questions to ask a lease lead, how to explain that process to them. But if you're talking to a buyer, then you definitely want to find out what location they're looking in, what price, what their motivation is, so their timeline, as I said before, if they're working with another agent, and then if they're pre-approved for a mortgage. And, if all of that checks out, then the last step is to make an appointment. So, hopefully that helps you a little bit with keeping kind of a really easy script to talk about. And also, again, in that Zolo CRM, if you have the client profile page up, there are a bunch of different sections, the last one being the qualifying section. So just click on that, and that gives you a qualifying questionnaire. So that basically sets out this acronym for you, reminds you what to ask so that you can enter the information there. So if they have just started looking, no problem, provide them with information, ask them questions about, ask them this LP MAMA acronym. All right, so let's see, a couple of other objections or questions, I should say. We get this one a lot as well. We just want the information. We just want the sold price. So again, no problem. Let me look that up for you. And, it is often true that we're, logging into our TREB system in order to pull up that information, and just let them know, I'm just opening up my MLS system at the moment. In the meantime, are you looking to buy a property, or do you have a similar property to sell? So while you're logging into your system, maybe that's the opportunity to ask them some questions and get some information out of them. The more information you're able to pull, then the easier the conversation comes. So hopefully they are looking for something to buy in the area. Maybe maybe that's their neighbor and they want to know what it's sold for because they're thinking about possibly selling their home. So again, asking questions in response to questions will kind of keep that conversation going. All right, so let's see if we have a few more. Again, same thing. So we're not ready to buy now. Just asking questions. So just digging a little bit deeper. Are you renting? When are you thinking of buying? Have you spoken to a mortgage broker? And if they haven't, just know as well, we have Zolo mortgages here. So you can put them maybe in touch with a mortgage agent. And, if you are working with Zolo mortgages, then they'll keep you really informed on whether or not they're ready now, ready later, what they need to do. So again, just continuing that conversation and, you know, like I said, answering those questions with questions. I've never purchased a home before. I don't know if we get this one. I'm not sure if it's how I want to invest my money. Definitely, if you have somebody calling you saying they've never purchased a home before, I love these kinds of calls. I think that that's it's exciting to talk to a first-time home buyer. So definitely, you know, talk to them about the process. So this is actually something that we spoke about at length on Tuesday, I guess it was. We did working with buyers, and we talked about having a buyer presentation. So maybe I'll just end it on that note that, you know, part of providing excellent customer service is really providing knowledge. So what we were talking about in the last webinar was having that buyer package. And so if they've never purchased a home before, you can share with them a buyer's roadmap. You can, again, share those explain forms so that, again, they feel really comfortable in the process. They know that you know what you're talking about. They like that you're sending them this information. And then hopefully they choose you, right? Hopefully they continue working with you. So really, I mean, at the end of the day, it is all about the relationship. You want to be helping them. You want to be providing them with information. So think about the relationship over the transaction, and it will win you the transaction at the end of the day. All right. So let me know if you guys have questions about any of this or any suggestions that you might have. Let me see. I had a whole bunch of slides. Actually, maybe I'll just share this with you guys. Since we were just talking about that. So sharing with them some sort of a roadmap. So this is something that you can download from Breakthrough Broker. Breakthroughbroker.com is a website I talk about all the time because there's a bunch of free material on there. So download something as simple as this. So you have that initial conversation with those leads that come in, you follow up with an email, and maybe this is part of what you send them. So if you're speaking to a renter, you send them the renter's roadmap so that they understand what the process is, they know what the landlords are looking for. You're also going to be sending them a rental application, I'm sure, and then you can search for homes over the weekend or whenever it is that they're available. So sharing a renter's roadmap like this, you know, just again shows, you know, how professional you are, the materials that you have in place, and it informs them on the process. And really at the end of the day, it's going to make them feel like you know what you're talking about and they know what's coming next. So the renter's roadmap, and then I'll just share with you quickly as well the buyer's roadmap. So again, something that you can download, customize to yourself, and you can even have your name in there. So meet with you instead of just a real estate professional. You can put your name in there and share that with your clients after you've gotten off that call with them. Send them an email with the process, with this roadmap and with the forms all explained so that they feel, as I said, really comfortable moving forward. All right. Any questions or any comments, any situations that have come up? I know that there were some questions previously about tips for new agents. If there's anything else that you you'd like to know, then definitely let me know. Otherwise, yeah, we've got a couple of minutes here. Let me just go back and see. Last but not least, yeah, just staying in touch. So staying in touch with your leads. From current slide here, lots of reasons to stay in touch. If a new lead comes in, I think I used this example at the beginning, track when those conditions expire. So if you speak to somebody and that property that they inquired about has sold, schedule a follow-up for when that condition is set to expire and inform them on whether or not it's sold or whether or not it's available for. If it did sell, then let them know that property sold, ask them what they think of the price. So these are definitely things that you can do to follow up. If it's a past client, so many ways to stay in touch. I've mentioned the monthly email newsletter, but yeah, reach out to them on their anniversary. You know, they bought their home June 1st or they moved into their home June 1st. So, you know, every June 1st, they get an anniversary card from you. Birthdays also, you know, we're taking everybody's photo ID, make sure that you're entering their birthdays as well. And social media, of course, you know, just make sure that you're updating that and people know that you're still active. All right. Great. So it doesn't look like I have any other questions. So thank you guys for joining me today. I hope that you took some tips from this and that you feel comfortable answering questions over the phone. If there's anything else that comes up, please reach out to me. But if not, then I'll see you on the next webinar. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day. Bye.